Hey friends, I'm back with another video, and this one's going to be a continuation of where I was doing some stuff about smithing and making weapons for different levels, right? So I started out, I made some acrylia weapons, and if you haven't seen it, go take a look at that before watching this, or just watch this and then watch that. It doesn't really matter. I was making some combine acrylia weapons. I was making like simple long sword, and I also made the one where you have to use jewel craft and stuff to make a valium longsword. So today I want to do something where you start getting up higher levels and it's a little more advanced, right? If you go to a forge and if you have the recipes, you can get the recipes by looking for the tomes, the books, and then scribing them. You can find things like the ornate longsword here, and I'm going to show you where to look for the recipes. And this is very similar to the simple one. Again, you need 2 molds that you have to craft. You need a certain kind of ore. This one uses a block of fair weapon grade ore. It uses hilt wrap, just like the other one. This one uses rough pelts though, or rough animal skins. This uses dull black coal, similar to the other one. I think it used brown coal. Malleable loam, which is dropped off creatures along with the pelts, right? And then the ore. There's fulminate ore, which drops off creatures. I believe the creatures are usually around level 30-ish or so, because I think this sword is about, level 31. So this is where you start getting weapons that have like an attack rating on it and some other stats. Again, the ratio looks horrible and pathetic, but this is another one where you would create an augment to go in there. So the damage is 622, or damage delay is 622. Let's equip my jeweler's kit. So this is a way to sort of see the different kinds, right? So for that level 20 sword, which was the simple one, you would make this, and it gives it an extra 2 damage and 1 chromatic damage. If you're making the nimble symbol of the skeptic, then we would have this one, which fits in the level 31 to 40 weapons. This gives you an extra base damage of 5. So a huge boost compared to that first one that only gave you an extra 2 damage. It also gives you more stats, as you see. Then we got the sacred symbol, which would be socketed in level 51 to 60 weapons. And this one gives you 6 base damage, 1 chromatic damage, and 2 to attack. Also, again, more stats. Here's one that would fit in a weapon for level 66 to 70. This one has a 9 base damage, a lot more hit points. Here's where we start getting heroic stats also. You get a +5 to attack rating and a 1 to hit point regen. And it just goes on, right? All the way up to weapons that are for like 96 to 100. That one's for 91 to 95, 86 to 90. And you have to have a very high skill for these. Here's one that fits in a level 101 to 105. So it goes all the way up to there. I think that's where it stops though. At 106, the weapons you make don't need these augs. At least I don't think they do. If you come here to the blacksmith Gerda, that's the ogre over here, near the small bank, you see she sells all of these tomes or books or scrolls, whatever you want to call them, that will give you the recipes for these weapons. And you see I already have them scribed, so that's why I have the recipes. So don't fret and say, darn it, Fezzle, you're not showing us where to get these things. It's not letting me craft it because I don't have the recipe. Well, here I'm showing you where to get the recipe. And it starts off, you get simple, then you get ornate, then I believe you go intricate, elaborate, elegant, then it goes stalwart, And then you get the regal, extravagant, glorious, all those. So yeah, and they're all pretty modestly priced, right? And they're all very similar. They just improve the ratio and the stats of the weapon as you progress in levels and make better weapons. And I can make all of these and sort of show you how to make them, but you can search these all on EQ traders, right? They're pretty easy to find, especially because they all kind of fit a similar wording, where you're all familiar with the Defiant armors, right? It's similar to that, as they're simple, ornate, intricate. It just doesn't come with a flawed version or a rough version of it. So those you don't get, but you get the simple, you get ornate, you get intricate, then elaborate and elegant, and so on. Although I don't think you get like defiant with words like inured and stalwart, so it gets backwards then. But anyway, there are other weapons. There are other really cool weapons that you can craft for even higher levels that have very different names. So let's go to glorious weapons, okay? Here's where the names get turned on their heads. And I want to mention this because this was a big challenge for me when I needed to make weapons for level 91 to 95 for some of our online groups. I couldn't find how to search for them to get the recipes on EQ Traders because the names were so different. It said glorious, but then it said glorious infused. So you can get infused or non-infused weapons. So let's type in glorious space and just hit enter. And here you go. You see there are uninfused weapons and infused weapons. I don't really know what the difference is. I just know that when I make a weapon, I usually make an infused one because it sounds like it might be better. That's it. So let's look for the uninfused silver inlaid rapier or something similar. So there we go. Glorious uninfused silver inlaid rapier. What is the difference, if there's any difference at all? Do you see any? If you do, tell me, because I do not. I do not see a single damn bit of difference from the infused and the uninfused. Honestly, it's a bit of a headache. Oh, I do see it now. Okay, I do. There is one and only one difference. Period. Full stop. And that's purity. If you look here under endurance, there is nothing. Whereas the infused version will have a purity of 50. And that's it. That is the only difference. Period. Full stop. Nothing else. So if you plan on using a power source, you want the infused version because purity is something that works to improve the stats on your power source. Do I understand power sources, how they work, or do I even use them effectively? No, not at all. But usually it's a difference of one ingredient that's easy to come by. So you might as well, that way if you do start using a power source, hey, you know, you've got it. So you look here, the uninfused rapier, there is one less ingredient. All of it is exactly the same, except this one needs Essence of Alaris. Again, super easy to get this. You can get it from doing Overseer missions. You start doing Overseer at 85 plus, or you can buy some from another player in the bazaar. I think it's also a pretty common drop in the Veil of Alaris expansion that just drops off random mobs. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that fact, because I might be. I did get most of my essences from purchasing them from other players in the bazaar as a buyer, and some I got from doing Overseer. I can't remember how many, if any for sure, dropped off monsters. But from what I've seen with other stuff that you can get from Overseer, that is trade skill related, it usually is a uncommon or sometimes common, sometimes rare drop off different monsters. Again, these weapons will use an augment to improve them because you see here the ratio is a 1.8. So you're going to need that augment to put it in there to double the stats and double the DPS that it deals to make it a decent weapon for your level. Using it like this, you might as well just use a piece of Defiant weapon or some other weapon that you either looted or you found on someone selling in the bazaar. Because without the aug, this is going to be garbage. Now I want to show you a few different things that I've found that you can craft. And these are pretty weird, especially to do when using a forge, right? How many times do you remember crafting a belt in a forge? Not many, unless it might have been a banded belt, maybe, or something like that. Or maybe a chainmail belt or skirt or waist item, whatever they're called. This is made in the forge. And you need stuff like the reinforced filament, which I believe that's bought off a tailor. You need a leather roll, which these drop all over Norath. They're pretty common. They might be an uncommon drop, but considering they drop from random mobs in any zone, what seems like almost any level, you can get these, right? Ethamir Essence also is a pretty regular drop in higher level zones. I believe the level is close to 100, probably 95 to 100, where these drop, or you can get them from doing Overseer missions. Steel Ingot is another one of those regular drops from random mobs that can drop just about anywhere. And you use 3 steel ingots for this. And then you just need a charged coal that you can get from most blacksmith merchants. Combine it all and you get Dimensional Warrior Belt. It's a belt with 126 AC, 24-26 hit points, 22-40 mana. It also has a 43% haste. It's got some decent heroic stats, decent saves here, 45 down the board, and some attack, hit point regen, mana regen, and some other things, along with Expanding Mind, which activates an AA ability that will increase your mana pool by 900. And I believe that increase will be permanent because it's unlocking a hidden AA ability. Here was another unique item that I managed to craft. It's something called Distorting Guard. It is a shield that can be used by Ranger, Monk, Bard, Rogue, Necromancer, Wizard, Mage, Enchanter. I would say this is only really useful for the latter 4 classes, the casters, because Rangers, Monks, Bards, and Rogues seldom will use a shield. I guess unless they're having to tank something, I don't know. But I never really see any of them classes other than casters using a shield. But as a shield for casters, I'd say it's pretty good for something you can craft relatively easy. It's trivial at 335. It's usable at level 100. It's got some heroic stats. It's got pretty good AC, some hit points, great saves, and some attack, hit point regen, mana regen. You probably won't need any attack because you're not going to be meleeing a whole lot. But it's always nice to have something with a little extra AC for those rare moments when you're a wizard, a mage, or whatever caster, and you do get hit. How is it made? You just need your trusty good old smithy hammer, Ethermere essence, 2 steel ingots, and a charged coal. That's it, those 3 items. I say 3 because it's 2 steel ingots, right? So it's 3 items and your hammer. Unlike some of the other items, I did not need a recipe to make this. I just needed to put them in, the experimental forge, and that was it. I hit combine. I might have failed once or twice, but then I did get this end result. Here's another thing that I managed to craft in the forge that I found very unusual, and it's required level 100. Do I like this weapon? No, I think it's complete garbage, because I'll show you a weapon you can make for level 100 that is about twice as good as this. But if it's all you can get your hands on until you can craft that better weapon, then by all means, go ahead. I'm just telling you, it's not really worth it. But I felt like mentioning it here. So you need a small piece of ore. That's right. The old school first version of Everquest piece of ore. Not any kind of fancy ore. Small piece of ore times 2. You need metal tempering chemicals, ethermere essence, a steel ingot, charged coal, and as usual, the smithy hammer, the old school smithy hammer. You can combine it with a skill of 335, I mean, probably 300 or maybe a little under. It's just trivial at 335, and it gives you this. It doesn't need any extra aug to become better. There are augs out there that can give it extra damage, but I don't know if I would waste my time putting it in here. Again, unless you plan on using it until you can make the better one. You can also make some armor with some of these materials. Again, required level 100. Here's an Ether Link vest or Ether Link vest, however you feel like pronouncing it. It's got an AC of 265, hit points of 2565, mana of 2464, endurance of 2527. It does have some decent heroic stats. It's got a decent attack, I guess. I don't know. I would prefer something a little higher at that level. It has a backstab modifier. Then it has this. Ether Mail Protection. It says Ether Mirror Enhanced Mail increases armor class and magic resist. So I don't know if that is additional magical AC that you get from wearing it on top of what it just naturally has, or if that's just a bunch of smoke and the AC is, that's what you get. You don't get anything more. So what does it need to be crafted? You need the good old smithy hammer. You need a sulfurous coal, some metal tempering chemicals, a leather roll, which is, again, that's one of them common drops that drops all over the world of Norath. You've got ethermere essences. You need 2 of those, and 1 steel ingot. Now here's something I thought was pretty good until I saw some of the other options, which was a temporal field. This is a shield, can also be used by casters. Maybe a Shadow Knight or Paladin or Cleric could also find this useful, although a lot of these other classes maybe not. Maybe the Warrior, although I think there's a better option for the Warrior. This has a 210 AC, 2255 hit points. Again, not the best, because I believe you can craft something that will have more AC by maybe about 50 or 60 and almost twice the hit points. So that's why I say these might seem pretty good if you're lower level and looking at it and be like, oh, I can't wait to 100 and use that. It's not great. It's not the best. Just saying. So to craft this, you would need the smithy hammer, your sulfurous coal, your metal tempering chemicals, leather roll, 2 ethermere essences, a steel ingot again. It seems like you can even make some armor out of this. Here we have something called a temporal helmet. This has 201 AC. It seems to fit a lot of different classes like warrior, cleric, paladin, shadow knight, and bard. So I assume this is sort of the plate version, right? One thing I have noticed that it doesn't seem to have something for bards. You know how most armor at high level will have percussion resonance or singing resonance or something, some resonance that will be a focus effect for bard songs. This has nothing. It just says temporal shielding will increase all resists. And you need, as always, smithy hammer, metal tempering chemicals, a gold ribbon, which I believe the gold ribbon can be purchased off of the tailor. Either that or the smith, but I think it's the tailor. 2 Ethmir essences and 2 steel ingots. A pretty simple recipe. Don't even need molds or extra things to craft this. It's one thing I like about these. I almost feel like these were created just to get some skill ups. You know what I'm saying? Because pretty cheap ingredients, and it can get you to skill up to 335 where it's trivial. Now, I think this is the shield that I had made for my warrior that I play on Sunday nights. It's called a Refraction Tower Shield. It is for warrior, paladin, shadow knight. This is a tank's shield, okay? And it still doesn't have the best hit points or maybe the best AC, but if you don't want to spend a ton of plat in the bazaar or chrono or whatever, this isn't a bad option. Like I said, it'll hold you over until you find something better. Very, very easy to craft. Just a smithy hammer, metal tempering chemicals, a lumber plank, which is a common drop or maybe an uncommon drop, but all over Norath at many, many different levels. I've just seen it, like, you start getting level 20, 30, you start seeing these things drop. Just like the steel ingot, they start dropping all over the place. The Ethmir essences, I believe, you start seeing at level 95, 90, something like that. They start dropping around different zones that are appropriate for that level. And again, some charged coal. Getting away from blacksmithing for a moment, we have the petrified wooden shield, another level 100 item. You see, you use a fletching kit to craft this. All you need is a planing tool. Yeah, the good old school planing tool that's been around for a long time now. You need 4 lumber planks, an Ethmir essence, and some exotic sandpaper. Sandpaper is sold off of this guy here in Plane of Knowledge. And there should be a Plane of Knowledge if you're making these recipes, because these are all fairly new. And you see here is the exotic sandpaper. It's actually free by the look of it. They charge 0 for it. So if you have all these items, you could just hit combine and you get yourself one of these little shields that can be used at level 100. Something a little higher level, like for 106 to 110, there's a Conflagrant buckler or Conflagrant buckler. Feel free to tell me how you pronounce Conflagrant in the comments. This is pretty easy also. You just need buckler plans, which is sold off of the fletching guy right here. Some high impact lacquer, which I believe might be sold on him, but we'll check in a second. And some Conflagrant lumber. The lumber, I believe you have to make. You see here, the AC is great. It's phenomenal. And the hit points are great as well. And I'm starting to wonder if what I said earlier about some of these weapons, where you can get something with double the hit points, I might have been thinking about stuff like this, but you have to be 6 levels higher. then 100, you have to be 106 to be able to just even equip it. So I might have been a little bit incorrect. Not afraid to admit it. So let's see, the high impact lacquer. So let's go up to the Fletcher here, and we'll tell him that we are high. And we'll ask him about high impact lacquer. And there we go. I think if you sniff the high impact lacquer, you'll get high. But I don't know. I've never sniffed paint. Maybe. I hope not. Probably. But this is expensive stuff. 5,249 plat. Eek. Just for one. Just for one. But I've bought bunches of it and made some of these. The Conflagrant lumber, you're going to ask, how do you do that? Well, you can get Conflagrant wood by doing Overseer, right? And collecting the trade scale rewards through Overseer, or buy some in the bazaar from other players as a buyer. Then you combine your Conflagrant wood with your planing tool and you get some lumber. So it's just basically you're processing raw wood into lumber. Fletching kit, who knew you were so big that you could take a massive log, stick it in there, and convert it into lumber. You can create some interesting weapons with your fletching kit as well. At level 106, here is a Conflagrant battle rod. We're not going to giggle at the name battle rod, okay? We are mature adults. We're not giggling. This is used by monks and beast lords, and it's level 106 to 110. Does 137 damage with an 18 delay. Pretty good, I feel. Better than some of the other things we looked at today. And it has a proc by the look of it. Strikes your target dealing up to 2,800 damage. So that's a pretty good proc there. And this is a one-handed blunt weapon. You can make a Conflagrant longbow. 177 damage, 24 delay. Pretty good ratio also. Wow, 209 AC for a bow. I would make that bow just for the AC and the stats. Look at that, 2685 hit points, 2570 mana. Some of these heroic stats are just wild, like the wisdom here. Great bow to hand to your paladin, I guess. How do we make this? We need a planing tool, some shimmering steel bowstring, which I believe is bought off of this Fletcher here. Let's take a quick look. And it's not purchased off of this guy. So it turns out that the shimmering steel bowstring is not something that you can just purchase. You need to craft it. So we just need some silk thread and shimmering steel thread times 2. Shimmering steel thread is purchased from a tailor, not a fletching guy. So there we go. We got our bowstring. And we can make our Conflagrant longbow. Although I do want to equip my fletching trophy before doing this, because it'll improve my chances a lot. So you see here I have a 26% chance of success. I equipped the trophy. I now have a 37% chance of success. Still crappy, but better than 26. And boom, I did manage to make it. What a miracle. First try. So there we go. And it looks like you can put a good number of augs in here. I don't really know about all of these types. I do know that 4 is the common aug that goes in most armor. Like this, right? So you could put something with a bunch of more AC and mana in there. And then there's augs that do extra damage and all that good stuff. So there you have it, the Conflagrant longbow. Looks like there's also a Conflagrant mace, which can be crafted with materials I already have. Don't need to go anywhere to make that. That's used by Cleric, Druid, Shaman, level 106 to 110. It has 172 AC, 4580 hit points, 4685 mana, 184 damage, 26 delay. Seems pretty good. Hand of Holy Wrath 3 strikes your target with a Hand of Retribution, decreasing their hit points by 3600. And then Sympathetic Hand of Holy Wrath has a chance to strike your target, Retribution, decreasing their hit points by 100, give you mana and heal your group each time you cast a damage spell. I guess that's two different effects that sound similar, although one will heal your group or something. It's no secret that I'm not great at reading some of these descriptions, but hey, you know, it's me. The last thing I want to go through is some of the other Conflagrant weapons that you can make for level 106 to 110. And I know I jumped up because the other week I did weapons for like newbies level 1 and up. And here I'm doing weapons for level 106 to 110. But it's just all the weapons in between are about the same as the lower level ones, where you just need alternating different ingredients. And you can look that stuff up on EQ Traders. It's all very similar. A lot of this stuff has drops that only drop off mobs that you have to go kill, or you could buy the stuff in the bazaar from other players as a buyer. And I think I need to make a video on how to set up a buyer, and that'll be coming up soon. So for this, the Conflagrant Rapier, you just need a smithy hammer, sharpening stones. Yep, it's like from back in the day, sharpening stones. A small hilt mold, conflagrant ore, which can drop off monsters, some phlogiston coal, and then we get the pear cut conflagrant diamond. We need those times 2. We want to make this. Let's go look where we get the phlogiston coal, and we're also going to need a small hilt mold. So we're closer to this guy. Let's get the small hilt mold. So we got 10 of those. So here, phlogiston coal. So we've got some hilts. Let's go over here. And you can see we can make this rapier now. Let's make sure we have our smithy hammer equipped so we don't, fail so easy. Oh, and we did fail. We got one of the diamonds back. Diamond back. So there we go. We got a conflagrant rapier. And that's a pretty cool looking weapon. Not a terrible ratio. You can make a stiletto, which that is for rogues only. It's got about the same ratio as the rapier though, so I don't know what makes it better. One has inject poison that does 3200 damage. The other one does less damage for the proc, but that proc that the rapier does, it looks like it is a life tap, so that's pretty nice. I always like having a life tap attack. Here is something similar to a dagger for casters, conflagrant bodkin for necromancer, wizard, mage, enchanter. It's got some decent stats for those classes and all that good stuff. A massive plus to heroic intelligence at 53. Simple to make. Sharpening stone, smithy hammer, small hilt mold, conflagrant ore, combine refined clay, which I can't remember how to make that. I'll have to look that up. Phlogiston coal, half moon cut conflagrant diamond, and draconic poison. So let's look for the poison and the clay. So the draconic poison must be crafted, and only a rogue can craft it. It's got to be done in a mortar and pestle. You need Kunark conflagrant powder, something called Lacertilla venom. I don't know what that is. Mercuric ore, and a toxin vial. So let's see if I can type in LAC. So the Lacertilla venom, that is one of the things you can only get from Overseer. So that is either dropped off mobs, or you get it from crafting, research, or harvesting tasks doing Overseer. Conflagrant powder is another Overseer thing. And the mercuric ore can be purchased here off of the toxicologist Huey. I might be pronouncing it wrong or something. Mercuric ore? I don't know. Let me know, guys. How would you pronounce that? So complicated. Everything sometimes makes my head explode. It's all just too much sometimes. Don't forget, you can actually make Conflagrant armor too, but we were mostly covering weapons here along with some shields. So I just wanted to remind you, you can look up that as well. The armor is sort of fascinating as it is all class specific. So you have to get these emblems that, you know, befit your class to make it wearable for your class, and you do the combine. So you can look things like that up, like Conflagrant breastplate. Look for that, and then you can look for the different various different ones for the different classes. I feel like this video was all over the place, but I did want to sort of put a bow on last week's video, because I said I was going to do all these different types of weapons, and I wanted to cover more. I wanted to cover some more level ranges and things like that. The weapons that come after Conflagrant are so much more complicated, and frankly, I get a headache trying to think about them. Once I figure it all out, I will try to put a video out of that as well, because I feel like if I'm struggling with it, there has to be at least one other person out there like myself who might be struggling too. If I could help that one person, I'll feel like I did something good. If this video helps you in any way, or you found it entertaining to see me stumble on my own words and make mistakes, please hit a thumbs up. It would really help me get seen in the algorithm. If you'd like to help support me and support the channel, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Or better yet, you could join the channel as a channel member. Channel members get special perks and privileges, like a link to join the private Discord. If YouTube memberships are not your thing, look at the links below the video for a link to the Patreon page. Patreon patrons get similar perks, like a link to join the private Discord. You can also leave us super thanks on the video. A super thanks is like a little mini donation that says, "Hey Fez, this was not your best video, but I did find a lot of helpful information. Thank you." And I want to thank all my current YouTube channel members and Patreon patrons for your continued support. Those of you who resubscribe month after month are my absolute heroes. Thank you. I appreciate you, and you help me to push on and keep going. And thank you everybody for watching. Have a great day and a wonderful tomorrow.
Through untold dangers and pitfalls, on a quest to save the girl. Into graveyard he did creep, undead ghouls and zombie knights. Fezzel with shouts from retreats. Roam the valleys, climb the peaks. I'll try not to die, my sweet. If the monsters are too great, I will flee, make my escape. Wind, water, earth and fire, summoned to defeat his foes. Magic spells will win turning them to ash and bone. Journeys long and food is scarce, lost in wasteland no one cares. Feeling weak as darkness falls, praying to survive the night. Roam the valleys, climb the peaks, I'll try not to die my sweet. If the monsters are too great, I will flee, make my escape. Sun knows as a new day comes, Fezzoid crawls on the ground. What's that on the distant hill? City of the noble guild. Roam the valleys, climb the peaks, I'll try not to die my sweet. If the monsters are too great, I will flee, make my escape. Sunrise, a tavern calls, candles flicker on the walls. Boobly dig, she saunters by, catching Fez's wandering eye. Roam the valleys, climb the peaks, I'll try not to die my sweet. If the monsters are too great, I will flee, make my escape. He wakes up, no one in sight, all his gold has been misplaced. Fezzoid just shrugs and laughs, at least I got her underpants. Journeys up, no one in sight, all his gold has been misplaced. Fezzoid just shrugs and laughs, at least I got her underpants. Journeys long and food is scarce, lost in wasteland no one cares. Feeling weak as darkness falls, praying to survive the night.